Okay, Assalamualaikum and hello, welcome. So I just want to make sure whether you can hear me or not.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay. So let me proceed. So today we will start a new topic, chapter 4, which is control flow. Okay. So let's do some, what is the objective? Okay. So the first one is to write a algorithm. So when you want to write an algorithm, you need to know how to use IfElse and SwitchCase. This is decision. Okay. So to know the difference, to convert, okay, able to write the algorithm and so on. So last chapter 3, operation, okay, you have learned arithmetic and Boolean, okay. Now for today's topic, chapter 4, you will learn about repetition and decision. So if you recall back chapter 1, you have process, repetition, decision, and I forget another one. Okay. So today we will learn today we only learn decision. Okay. So for repetition next week. Okay. So the code, okay, the syntax is actually while or for. Okay. But for decision, you have 3 actually. So you have if, okay, switch case, this is the popular one, and another one is logical. So logical is not a function if or switch case. Okay, this one is based on your logic. Okay, so this one is much more creative. Okay, so today we will focus on the decision. Okay, so loop control is basically for and while. Okay, so basically if you want if you have something that need to be processed multiple times, you have to use loop control. But for conditional control, if you have a decision, so if the condition is like this, you want to do what? If the condition like this, you want to do what? Okay. So before we start, I want to show you the script. I think last time I already showed you how to create a script, because when you do programming control loop here, repetition and decision, it's better to use Matlab script instead of the command window. Okay. So previously you can use command window. So, but for this case, I suggest you don't do that. So I suggest you open. First, you have to set this first. Make sure that it is not run in the C. Okay, if run in the C, your computer can become problematic, your Matlab. Okay, so just click here. Okay. So maybe you can choose your folder, or you can choose any place. For me, I just put on the desktop, select. Okay, so after you select it, then you can start a new script at the top here. Okay, so it will create a new script and save it. Okay, you have to name it something. Okay, but don't start with number. If you start with number, it will become error. Okay, so of course, when you want to run a script, make sure you write this. Okay, in your exam, no need to write this. Okay, in your test, in your exam, no need to write this. But in your real program, okay, in your computer, if you want to use this, better to clear everything up. Okay, so it's like a calculator. You don't want anything in your workspace, memory, or command window. Close all is basically the figure. So this one will be, we will learn this in chapter 7. Okay, if you don't do this, you'll have problem when doing chapter 7, which is graphic. Okay, so make sure you know how to create a script and how to save it and how to open this one directory. Okay, make sure you change the directory. Okay, so we continue. Okay, so this is how to make a script. Okay, and how to run it. So basically, instead of you write the equation one by one, you can plan everything up. So A equals to 2, B equals to 3, for example. Okay, you already write everything up. Okay, then you can run it. So it will, when you finish everything, you run it. So it is much more organized. Okay, so this is just an example. So make sure you know. Okay. So we start with the conditional. So today we only focus on conditional. Repetition, this one, repetition, we will continue next week. Okay, only decision, if, switch, and logical. Okay, so as I mentioned before, you have three actually, okay? Three tools that you can use. Either you want to use if, else, or switch case, okay? So what is the difference? So if I show here, okay, depending on your condition, okay, on your problem that you want to solve, okay, if you want to use if else, okay, this called if else, okay, this one is usually you have true and false, okay, Boolean expression, okay. So for example, is A is bigger than B is bigger than A, something like that. Any Boolean condition, you can either have true or false. So if that happen, you want to use this one. Okay, if else. Okay, so to use this, you have to start with if. But if you have another condition, you have to use else if. Okay. This one is not it's just an optional. If you only have one condition, you just use if. Okay. So else is basically if you the condition is not met. All of the condition at the top is not met. So you have to write the process here. Okay. So the important one is just if. Else if and else if you don't write it, no need to worry. It still can run. And of course, make sure you put n. After everything, you have to put n. Okay. That is for if else. For switch case, this condition is for if you have optional. Okay. So for example, switch. Okay, this is switch. This is case. Okay, and of course, don't forget the n. Okay. So for example, switch n means that you look at value n. Okay. For example, n is equals to 1. What happened? What happened if n is equals to 2? What happened is n equals to 3? Okay. Otherwise, okay. Otherwise, it's basically if the switch, the n value doesn't match all the case. Okay. So basically, depend on you, depend on the condition. Okay. So if this case is more towards the multiple cases, okay, arithmetic expression. But for this case, it is more towards true and false. Okay, so open your Matlab, make sure you try this, okay? Okay, because this is programming language, make sure you try it, okay? If not, you cannot understand it very well. So let's start with the single if else, okay? So I give you an example here. Okay, example number 1. So x is equals to 2, okay? So if x is less than 0, display negative. Okay, so this is just another thing. Okay, make sure you know what is the function of display. For basically, display is just to display the text inside here. Make sure you include the open bracket. Okay, so let me transfer this. Copy this and then you go to the Matlab and paste it. Okay. So you can see here, if I run this, I already copied it. If I run this, okay, there is error. Okay. So this character you have to rewrite again. Okay. Okay, this one also rewrite again. Okay, and run it again. So you can see here when x is equals to 2, it will go non-negative. So x is more than 0. This one is true. Okay, this one is basically false. Okay. So if I run this, x is equal to 2, of course it is non-negative. How about if negative 2? So basically it will go toward negative. Okay. Okay, let me show you debugging. So this one you will learn in chapter 8, but I will show you how it is work later. But I just want to show you how the decision is made. So you can see here. Okay, so it will process x. X is equals to -2. It will go into the workspace, and then this is the decision. Okay, so if x is less than 0, so it will go here, and then it will end. Okay, don't forget about the end, and it will display negative. Okay, so same here, it's positive. So if I run this, okay, x is equals to 2. Okay, if x is less than 0, okay, it will not go there. Okay, it will skip to else, and then it will run this and end. Okay, that is how the if else work. How about if there is no condition? Okay, so it's just number or any value. Okay, so any value, remember, any value will become true. Okay, only 0 will become false. So let me copy this. Okay, of course, this one is error. So make sure you rewrite this again. Okay, the button is near enter, but enter keyboard. Okay, so you can see here it is always true. Okay, if you press 100, it always true because anything that is not 0 is true. Negative value also is true. Okay, but if you put 0, it will go to false. Okay. Okay, now we move on to the next example, example 3. So you have to refresh back your quadratic equation. So remember in the quadratic equation, okay, so this is a quadratic equation, ax squared plus b squared, bx plus c is equals to 0. Okay, so if you want to find the root, okay, so remember b squared minus 4ac, okay. Not find the root, but actually determine whether the root is same or not. So if b squared minus 4ac taken from here, 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 okay, b squared minus 4ac is equals to 0 means that the root is the same. Okay, make sure you try to understand the problem. Okay, because you have to do the coding. Okay, so you can see here input. So input is actually chapter 6. Okay, this is just examples on how to show you. Okay, so you can write something like this: input for A, okay, equals to input. So this is just a text, okay, to show the input. Okay, before you insert the input, and then the same here. B, no need to worry for this. This one is in chapter 6. Okay, so D is equals to B squared minus 4AC. So this one. Okay, so recall back the condition. How if you want to have a same root, so b squared minus 4ac is equals to 0. Okay, so and x is equals to negative b divided by 2a. Okay, this one should be explained in the problem because you don't learn about quadratic equation, but you learn about how to program. And also another thing that you need to know, you can see here, another condition is a cannot be 0. Okay, so you can see here, if d is equals to 0, you already calculate here. Okay, if 0 means that you have a same root and n. Okay, so this one, be careful. For operation, you only have to use one n, but for if else, you have to use 2n. Okay, you have to put n. If not, it will be error. Okay, And this condition, if you have multiple condition, you can do something like this. You can use or also you have to put 2. Okay. And this one is the operation itself. X is equals to this one. Else display different root means that you cannot find the root. Okay. So let us look at this program. So no need to worry about the input. This one is chapter 6. Okay, we will learn this later. Okay, so of course you have to repair this. Okay, let us run. So you can see here input a value. It will print this. Okay, it will print this and then you can insert the value. So how about 2? Okay, and then B. So you can see here it will show this. Okay, so 2 also. And of course this one, okay, is C, 2 also. So let me break point it first. Okay. Oh, sorry, it will error. Okay, let me set it. When you use input, it sometimes it's produce error. Okay. Okay, so let me run this again. Okay, so 2, 2, and 2. Automatically, okay, it will calculate this one. Okay, it will calculate D, and then you can look here. D is not equals to negative. D is equals to negative 12. So the condition is D is equals to 0 and A is not equals to 0. So you can see here A is not equals to 0, but the problem is D is not equals to 0. Okay, so automatically this condition is false. Okay, since it is false, it's not go to here, but it go to here, else. Okay, so that is how it works. So let me run this again. Okay. So 2, 1, 1. Okay, so it's quite hard to determine the root for 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 1. Okay, so you can see here D is equals to 0. Okay, D is equals to 0 and A is not 0. So it will go to here because this condition is true. So automatically it will calculate X. X is equals to negative 1. Okay, so that is how you program the program. Okay, for example 4, let us take a break first. Okay, so slide in your attendance. Okay, at the same time, I just want to remind you your test 1. Okay, your test 1 will cover from chapter 1 until this chapter, chapter 4, control flow. Okay, and it will be on 21 April on Thursday, if not mistaken. So let me look first. Okay, yes. So on Thursday, 4 p.m. Okay, 21 April. So you only have 2 more weeks. Okay, to do some revision. Okay, before the final. Before the test. Okay, make sure you practice. Okay, programming and also how to do it manually. Okay, we will continue back at 10:25. 11:25. Okay, let us continue. Can you hear me? Okay, somebody can respond.
Yes, doctor.
Okay, so good. So we continue with the next part is multiple conditioning. Okay, so basically you just include else if. So the same problem, okay, but right now you have, remember you have b squared minus 4ac. You have equals to 0, which has the same root, okay, more than 0, which has a two real root, and less than 0, which has a complex root. So you have three conditions. So what happens if you have three conditions? So you can see here, okay, of course, this is the same here, the same, and this is also the same. Okay, so basically you have show x1 and x2. Okay, x1 is equals to x2. Okay, this one also the same here. It's basically the same thing. Okay, only you have x1 and then x2 is equals to x1. Okay, so the new addition is else if. So basically, next condition that you want to check. So basically, else if d is more than 0. So you have d is equals to 0 and d is more than 0. Okay, so of course you have n, okay, additional condition. If you don't have, I don't want to check this, you just delete this, no problem. You can only have one condition as well as is a boolean. Okay, so okay, so what happened here is when d is more than 0, so basically you have two root, so you just calculate here using equation. So don't need to worry, this example doesn't show the equation, but in your exam test or exam, okay, this equation of course will be given. Okay, so make sure you just know how to convert all of the sentence and equation given into the code. Okay, so that is your main task. Okay, so you already have d is equal to 0, d is more than 0, and of course you have else. So else here last time is different root, okay, means that you have a multiple root, but right now for d is equal to 0, you already exclude from the, okay, that condition. So basically d, the last thing is d less than 0. So d less than 0, you don't need to put the else if. Okay, you need you just put else. So this one is complex root. Okay, so let us test this. Okay, of course, this one you have to change. Okay, and this one I suggest don't use input, quite confusing. Okay, so okay, same here. If you don't want to show A, B, C, you just put semicolon at the end. Okay, so maybe we want to see this. Okay, this one also we want to see. If not, you cannot see the answer. Okay, so you run it. Okay, you can see here this is error. So when you have error, it will highlight it. But this error is caused because of the no semicolon. Okay, but because you want to see it, you just remove it. It will show some error, but it's still okay. Okay, so run this. You can see here d is negative. It is a complex root. Okay, so how about this? So you can see here d is equals to 33. So let us run this one by one. Okay, so you can see here d is equal to 33. Okay, of course d is not equals to 0, but a is equals to 0. A is not equals to 0. So this is 0, this is 1. So 1 and 0 is 0. So this condition doesn't met. Okay, it will go to the next condition. So it will test the next condition. So you can see here, this condition met. D is more than 0, A is not equals to 0 here. So it will run this. Okay, and will end. Don't forget about the end. Okay, that is how the program works. And how about the else? Okay, so I run this. You can see here, D is equals to -12. It's not equal to 0. It goes there. It's also not more than 0. Then it will go to else. Else is basically what happens if no condition are met. Okay, so it will display complex root. Okay, and I suggest one more thing. It is important. I suggest when you do programming or do coding, if you have if something like this, make sure you tab. Okay, tab. Okay, don't make something like this. Okay, it's quite difficult to understand. Okay, so if you do writing in the test or anything in your program, make sure for this condition, make sure you tab. Okay, press the tab button near the escape. Okay, or cap lock. Just tab and tab. Okay, this one is easier for you to see. Okay, is this and this. This is just a common practice. Okay. So we move on to the next example, example 5, which is nested. What it means by nested if, okay, is basically if inside if. Okay, so you can see here, this is if, okay, and then after if you have another if. Okay, that's why I ask you to do the tab, so it's easy to see. So this is if, okay, this is one if, one level 1, and this level 2 if, and make sure you have and for each level. Okay, so let us look on this coding. Okay, so you can see here, okay, the first level, if A is equals to 0. So recall back, you can see here, you have to do AND, right? If you don't like these two conditions at once, if something and then you have to put AND, okay, A not equal to 0, you don't like this, okay, you need to repeat. So you can just put in the first level A is not equals to 0. Okay, else, okay, you just calculate the, not a quadratic, just a linear equation. If you recall back the linear equation, you will get the answer. Basically, it's not quadratic equation. Okay, so this one, if A is not equals to 0, and else this one. Okay, that is why it's called nested, because of this. Okay, and then you do the same coding. Okay, if D is equals to 0, else if D is more than 0. Okay, same here, but you don't need to write this at here. Okay, so basically you have simplified, I think. Okay, and for this case, make sure you tab 2 times. Okay, okay, first level, second level. Okay, you get the answer. So this one, for example, 7. Okay, and of course you cannot see the answer because of this. Okay, maybe this one also you need to see. So you can see here D is 33. So it will go here x1 and x2. Okay, any problem? Because this one is considered as complicated, but I don't have too much example on this. Any problem? Okay, if not, I continue with the next part, which is switch case. So as I showed before, switch case is not Boolean. Is for the condition you don't have true or false. It's more towards what happen if something is something. Okay, so you can see here switch and Okay, you want to look at the end. Okay, and then you have case, what happen if n is equals to -1, what happen n is equals to 0, what happen is n is equals to 1. So, and then of course display. Okay, and of course otherwise. Otherwise is basically if you don't follow any of the cases, it will just display this. Okay, and don't forget the tab. Okay, let us test this. Okay, instead of input, I just put this, so easier to see. Okay, other number. Okay, so let's take a break. This one, breakpoint. Okay, and then you can see here, n is equals to 2. So it check case 1 is not same, case 2 is not the same, case 3 is not the same, and then it will go to otherwise. Okay, and then display other number. Okay, how about if number 0? Okay, if I run this, you can see here, okay, n is equals to 0, switch case, it will check one by one. Okay, and then it will display 0. Okay, I think this one is simple because it's just direct to the point. Okay, any problem with this? Okay, so no problem, eh? Okay, make sure you tap. Okay, you tap double, for this case. Okay, switch and then case and inside more. Okay, this is the third one. Okay, this one is called decision using logical. So basically, you can call this logical. Okay, so decision using logical. Why this is? I said it is creative. Okay, because it's quite difficult to write. Difficult to write, but easy to read. Okay, for the coder, okay, which is you, to write the code, it is quite difficult. But if you read it, it's quite easy, and it is also very fast. Okay, if you use if and switch, it's quite slow. If you have a very large coding, okay, it's quite slow. But if you use logical, it's quite fast. Okay, so that is the advantages. So what is logical? So I give you example 7. So you can see here text calculation. Okay. So for those, I think for most of you still don't know how to calculate text, right? So basically it's just some level. Okay, for example, if you have a tax is 10,000 ringgit or less, you only get to pay 10%, for example. But if your income is 10,000 to 20,000, okay, you have to pay this kind of money, okay, for the first one, okay, which is 10,000, and then plus 20% of between this value. Okay, so this is basically like income tax or TNB. Okay, so basically you have first 10,000 and then 20,000 and then 30,000. So you this one takes 10%. Okay, and then this one take 20%. This one take 50%. Okay, this one is 10,000, and then this is 20,000. Okay, so make sure it is when your income is higher. Okay, the higher part will needs to pay much more higher tax. Okay, I hope you can understand this. Okay, so tax payable in income is 30,000. For example, here, for if the tax is 30,000, you have to use this formula. So basically 30,000, 3,000 plus 0.5 is 50%, 50%, and 30 is your income, and then minus this limit. So you will get this one. Okay. So that is basically the example, the problem statement. Okay, how to code this? So basically how to code is you can use else if. Okay, this is if you want to use else if. So basically you input the income. Okay, so remember if income is less than 1,000, maybe I should clear this first. Okay, if the income is less than 10,000, you use this equation. 0.1 is 10%. And if your income, okay, okay, so you can see here, it is, remember here, this is between 10 and 20, right? Okay, but in this one, you can see it's only 20K, okay, 20,000. Why we just put this? Because remember the coding is actually you run the first one first. Okay, the code will run the first one. If this not true, then it will go to the next one. Okay, but if this true, okay, it will run this and then go to the end. Okay, so basically, if for example 15K, your income is 15K, automatically it will not run this. Okay, it will just run this directly. So basically this one, how I can say, so this is 10K, okay, this true, okay, this one is true, but for the second one is, okay, so you already test this one because you run this condition first. So basically the second one is the limit, okay, 20K. I think you already learned this in your secondary school, the logic about this. And of course, else means that the more than 20K. Okay, you use this equation. Okay, so display text payable and then, okay, I think this one is also chapter 6. Don't need to worry too much. Okay, but you can put something like this and then number to string. Okay, this one you already learned in chapter 2, I think. Okay, you change the number to string is basically display this text and display the answer here in the form of text. Okay. Okay, so that one is decision using logical. Okay, this one is another example. Okay, this is the logical one. Okay, this one is using the if else is basically. But as I mentioned before, this one is not fast. Okay, because it will check one by one by one. Okay, so how to do this? The easiest way, the same problem. Okay, so you can see here for this one and this one. So basically logical vector is just you combine the equation, okay, your equation here, this equation, okay, okay, this is the equation, the process, okay, this is equation, okay, and this equation, okay, you just multiply with the logic. This is the logic, okay. So this is the equation, this is the equation, this is the equation. Okay, and this is the logic. Okay, this is the logic, and this one also has a logic, but it's just else. Okay, so basically, if your question asks you to do a decision using logical vector, you have to do something like this. The formula, just multiply with the logic. That's it. Okay, and then you add everything up. Okay, you have multiple, right? The answer, you have multiple thing. You just add it up. So that is basically what is if you want to use logical vector. So let us look here. Okay, so you can see here, this is the equation. Okay, So 0.1 minus income, and then this one second income, this one is third income, and this is the condition. Okay, so for less than 10,000, you put this one. Okay, and then between 10,000 and less than 10,000. Also be careful. This one is a operation, not a decision. So only one and. Okay. So this is basically between more than 10,000 and less than 20,000. So you get this. Okay. And the third one is just more than 20,000. And then you add it up. Okay. And then of course you display it. So how this work is basically, for example, okay, I give income, for example, 10,000. Okay, so not 10,000, 5,000. Okay, 5,000. Okay, so if the income is 5,000, this one is true, this one is false, this one is false. So basically, false is equal to 0, 0, and this is 1. So 1, you just calculate this one, and then you just add everything up. So this one has value, okay? This one is 0, this one is 0. So you get the total, okay? And how about if the value is 15K, okay, 15,000. So if 15,000, you can see here, this is wrong, okay, is 0. This is 1 because this is between this number, and then this is 0. So basically, this will become 0, this is 0, and this has value. So if you add it up, it will become 0. And it will become only text 2. Okay, I hope you don't have any problem with the logical vector, because this is quite a popular question. Okay, logical vector, if else, and state case, switch case. Okay, so that's it for today. Okay, any question before I end the class? Next week we will learn about loop control or repetition. Okay, no question?
Yeah, there's no question, Doctor.
Okay, so that's it. I will share this video in the e-learning if you want to look it again. Okay, see you again next week.
Thank you, Doctor.
Doctor.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you, Doctor.